The Gran Turismo modding community has always been incredible. I'm pretty sure over the years you've heard of the likes of Gran Turismo 2 Spec, Gran Turismo 4 Spec 2, and maybe even Gran Turismo 3's concept mod. More than likely your favourite Gran Turismo title has received some type of massive overhaul mod, meaning that titles even as far back as 25 years old are constantly kept updated and relevant with brand new ways to go ahead and play them. For me personally, my favourite Gran Turismo title of all time is Gran Turismo 2, and my favourite mod of all time, well, you probably guessed it, is Gran Turismo 2 Spec. It is absolute perfection, adding in a bunch of obscure race cars as well as completely overhauling the feel of the game. And well, it seems like some of the team behind GT2 Spec are bringing out a brand new Gran Turismo 2 mod, and it might just be the most Gran Turismo mod of all time. This is Gran Turismo 2 Beige Edition. So let's go ahead and see what we can spot in this awesome new trailer. So a few hours ago, GT Beige Edition received its first ever teaser trailer. Now this is a mod that I followed at least for the last few months, mainly in the form of a bunch of pretty awesome car models. And I must say I'm very impressed with what I've seen in the teaser trailer so far. Now I'll talk more about the cars that are going to be included in this mod in a few moments time. However, first of all, I do want to give a huge shout out to everybody that is coming together to work on this mod. Their absolute dedication towards Gran Turismo 2 is incredible, and it's great to see this over 25-year-old game still have a new lease of life, what seems to be every few years or so. The teaser trailer itself was uploaded by HW Nathan, and I'll have the link in the description down below for you to follow and go ahead and check it out for yourselves. So you may be wondering then, what exactly is Gran Turismo 2 Beige Edition? Well, the description gives us a very good idea. Have you ever played Gran Turismo 2 and thought, this game is great and all, but where's all the minivans? Or this game would be better without supercars, or I don't want race cars in my racing game. I want the Acura SLX instead. Then this mod is for you. Introducing Gran Turismo 2 Beige Edition. Now some of the features that are on mention here are over 330 brand new cars from over 50 manufacturers, over 150 trim and model edits to existing base game cars, completely revamped career mode, redesigned menus, assets and more, universal used car dealerships, new in-race soundtrack, and more, as well as more details to be announced in the future. So we have this awesome recreation of the Gran Turismo PSP intro, and the first car that we're greeted with is the notorious PT Cruiser. After this, we get a couple of scenery shots before it goes into full-blown teaser territory. As we can see, we get a few shots of a few car wheels and then the first full model that we can properly make out, and this seems to be a Fiat Maria estate. Now after this point, it's basically car model after car model, and the next car model that we see is this one right here. Now I guess for most people from maybe the UK or Europe, you'll know this as the Vauxhall or Opel Sintra, but I do believe this to be the Pontiac badge variant, which is the Transport, of course very much a minivan of the 1990s. Great to see this one in game. Now we get a few more teaser parts here. I couldn't quite make out these cars, but then we do get a full model car on the left hand side here, which is very obviously the Citroen Picasso. Now the car over on the right I couldn't quite make out exactly, and it doesn't really show the front end enough to be able to properly make it out. After that we get a quick glimpse of a Vauxhall Cavalier, and then of course we go back to the racing footage with this car right here. Now I do believe this is one that's already present in Gran Turismo 2 as a starter car, the Mitsubishi Mirage. However, I do believe this is one of the different trim models that's going to be included in the game. So then we go back to the gameplay footage, and it's not long before we get a look at one of my favourite cars in this entire trailer. This seems to be the Vauxhall Cavalier. Now I'm not 100% clued up on exactly which model or trim it is, but one thing I do know is I've always weirdly wanted to own one of these. Unfortunately, the scrappage scheme in 2009 and Rust in the UK pretty much wiped these out from existence, so they're incredibly rare, and it's great to see it put in a racing game and overall my favourite racing title. Next up is going to be an incredibly interesting vehicle to me, and as we can see, this is a van in Gran Turismo 2. Now this appears to be the Chevrolet Astro, I believe the second generation of the van, which was made from I think about 1995 to 2005. So there's a bit of a time frame there. Looks absolutely awesome, and honestly this will just be an incredibly exciting vehicle to drive. Whilst we have some incredibly quirky cars in the base Gran Turismo 2, we don't really have anything like this. So from here we're going to go from vans to minivans, and what is probably the most notorious minivan of all time, and definitely when I was growing up was the one that was mainly on show in US TV programs, and definitely the one that I was exposed to the most, and that is going to be the Chrysler Voyager. I believe there's also the Plymouth Voyager as well, pretty much the same car, just a rebadge. And in terms of those vehicles, I'm not sure if we're seeing both here or just the one model. Now the next model that we're going to see here did actually make me question a few things, because I'm pretty sure that I'd seen this model before over on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, by Nathan himself, which is of course someone that is working on the car models and such, that this is pretty much the Sintra. But again, that does make me question, was that the Pontiac Transport earlier, or was it just the Sintra? And because of the graphic style of this game, it doesn't really show the badge properly. Now after that, we are actually going to get a better look at the model. Now there is a Vauxhall Sintra in here, of course, in the top left, and then we have the Fiat Maria, which we've already spoken about, but also in here we have a bunch of models that we can speak about. We have the Fun Cargo at the bottom left, a Chevrolet Metro, which is something I've never ever seen in a racing game before, and it's great to see. Incredibly rare if you're from kind of this side of the world, Europe and the UK, you might not even know what that vehicle is. We also have then the Corolla Spacio, and even an Austin Ambassador right there in the top right with the Austin number plate. I really have to give credit where it's due. The sheer amount of obscure cars that are getting pulled into this mod is so impressive. So massive credit to every single person that's working on it. We'll get a quick look of an Eagle Summit. We're not going to see too much of that during the trailer, but then we do go into another very obscure car. Now I'm pretty sure after doing some research, this is the Lancia Libra. I know absolutely nothing about this car. All I know is it definitely caught my eye during the trailer. Now the next couple of vehicles I do want to take a still shot look at is definitely going to be these two here. Now these are two kind of SUVs, 4x4s. The one on the right is definitely the most quirky of the two. I believe that to be a Mercury Mountaineer, and the one on the left is a Ford Explorer. Absolutely awesome. Almost nothing is left off the table here. Quick look at the Sintra, and then we get into this one right here. Now I'm pretty sure this is a Chevrolet Cavalier. Again, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I know there was kind of 3 Cavaliers from the 1990s. I believe one by Toyota, one by Chevrolet, and of course the one that is mostly known for me, which is the Vauxhall Cavalier. Quick another look at the Fiat, and then we go into some of the kind of base car changes here that we're getting showcased, because I'm pretty sure all 3 of these vehicles were actually present in Gran Turismo 2, or at least the 106 and the Nissan Micra or March, whatever you want to call it. But I'm pretty sure in terms of the actual models themselves, the 106 never had this kind of base looking model with a black plastic trim, and I'm pretty sure the Micra or March never actually had the kind of super look to it. I'm pretty sure it was a completely different trim level entirely, and that to me looks like a pre-facelift model. We have a quick look at some trim change Civics before getting into these two very quirky cars. The one on the right here, I'm pretty sure is a Buick Roadmaster. We can very much see here that it has that typical American look to it. It's very large. It looks like it's floating on air because it's just so big and kind of rolling around and such, and it does have the wood paneling on the side. And of course next to it, I'm pretty sure there that is a Chevrolet Caprice. So we do see these two actually racing each other during the trailer from a back cam. We then go back to the Chryslers, I believe, and then we get a look at both a Saxo and Xanthia before looking at a Peugeot 406, Dodge Neon, and of course the Ambassador once again. Then we're going to go into some incredibly cool Japanese cars there. I believe that was a Daihatsu Duet that's just kind of come through, and then if we look on the left hand side here, we do have a Subaru K car. I believe that is the Subaru Pleo. Behind that we have a Daihatsu Move, and off in the background there we do seem to have a type of Suzuki wagon. Again, I'm pretty sure in terms of the cars that are actually present here, they pretty much all had trim changes to actually fit the whole theming of the mod. We've seen a couple of BMWs so far that I believe have been kind of transformed into 323i's. So again, you're going to see a lot of this where you might recognize a car from base Gran Turismo 2, and then you'll probably realize, oh, it's kind of had a few changes. The next couple of cars I do want to take a look at is a couple of Fiats. Now, the front one, the blue one, is the Fiat Siento, I believe it's called, and in the background we do have what is basically a United Kingdom legend now, a Fiat Cinquecento. Now, in terms of the next one right here, this one definitely caught my eye. From what I can gather, this is a GM EV1. I know nothing about this car other than it was incredibly ahead of its time, and it is seemingly put inside of this mod. Now, one thing that I'm certainly going to say here is, in terms of this car, it's completely different from almost anything that was available in Gran Turismo 2, so it's certainly going to be kind of strange and weird to see how they managed to implement that into the mod itself. Now, the next image we do get a look at is at Grand Valley, of course, on that huge iconic bridge. We do see what seems to be a Dodge Avenger, as well as another look at the Peugeot 406. We've seen it from the back at Tahiti, and this time around we're seeing it from the front. So very prevalent in this trailer are a lot of kind of weird, obscure French and Japanese vehicles, as well as American. So I definitely wanted to kind of pause at this bit right here, because we do get a look at what seems to be some type of Nissan Skyline. Now, of course, it's from the R34 generation. However, you may notice it is a 4-door, and definitely one of the more kind of base models. I know I'm saying that about a Skyline, but yeah, it does seem to be one of the more regular models, maybe an ER34 there. And then the final one that I do want to do a freeze frame on here is the two Chevrolets. It seems that one is an SUV and one is a pickup. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I do believe that is the Chevy Suburban there. We then get a Kia Pride, and of course a look at the Alfa Romeo and a bunch of other cars that we've already seen during this trailer. So there we go then. That is GT Beige Edition and the bunch of incredibly obscure and awesome cars that are going to be on offer. So there we go then, the most Gran Turismo mod of all time, Gran Turismo Beige Edition. Of course, a massive shout out to everybody that is working on this project. I think it looks absolutely fantastic, and it really does take me back to the days of the older Gran Turismo titles and just learning about these weird, obscure cars. And the fact that this thing is absolutely rammed full of them is just incredible. The knowledge on the cars, everything like that is just awesome to see. Whilst I get to some, it might not be to your personal taste. I think too many of the original Gran Turismo players will probably absolutely love this thing. And again, I do think these kind of projects in the community should be promoted, should be spoken about, and of course should be played. I do think it's incredible that the modding community for Gran Turismo is just so vast and varied, that there's so many different ways to play these older Gran Turismo titles, even in 2025, is awesome to behold. So a massive shout out to everybody working on this. That's it from me. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.